Well, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name is Ken Close. I'll be your host today. I'm joined by a couple of amazing leaders here in Healy for the Americas. Jake Barron, global operations. Hey, buddy, welcome.
Hey Ken, hello everyone.
How you doing? And we have Henry Pena. He is the global onboarding gentleman for the globe. Hey, Henry, nice to be here. Thanks. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ken. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Glad you guys could join us. The talent in the room here is over the top, guys. So anybody joining in, this is how it works with Tech Tip Tuesday. This is a chat-based forum. You guys put your questions in the chat, and we will do our very best to answer whatever's going on, solve the mysteries, unpack the depths of information that we can find, and get you guys solved. So that's the way it works around here. What we can't do is we really don't talk about diseases, disorders, diagnosis, or preventions of any such, or any of the programs that might address those things. So that's not what we do here. We want to make sure it works right for you, and you understand how it's working. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And if you know somebody out there that's got a little issue going on, get them on the call. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Come on in. You don't even have to show your picture on the screen. Just put your information in the chat. And here we go. You guys ready?
I'm
Ready,
ready.
ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and obviously, if we don't have any content to solve, we'll just talk about what's coming up. We got all kinds of things probably happening in the background.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know I would love to listen to a sneak peek at some point of the Healy Solutions coming up today.
Yeah, so that's a great topic, by the way, everybody. Today, coming up at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern, right? It is the fourth episode of the Healy Solutions Series, and today is all about energy and vitality. And I have the opportunity, the privilege to host that. Well, not host, but actually be a featured speaker on that call. And it's about energy and vitality. So let me give you a little hint. Energy, vitality. So what does that mean? I mean, what is Healy? It is an energy bridge. It is an amazing energy resource. And we're going to talk a lot about that today on the Solution Series and how that kind of interfaces, what is energy, how we can kind of produce energy, how we can be coherent with energy. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And then that whole pathway to vitality. So there's a little sneak peek. Hopefully that entices some interest out there and you guys will join. If you can't make it live, hey, there'll be a recording, right? Just like this call.
Exactly. So I can put the link into the chat here too. No, you don't have to register. You just click on the link. 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. And it'll take you right to the meeting. So
there you go. So that's a pretty easy cue right into the call. Take a look at your calendars. Make sure you got a spot open today for that. It's very short, by the way. Those things are typically maybe 30 minutes. And if we wrap it up a little early, probably can even build in a little Q&A at the end. But and Q&A gets a little bit more, I don't know, maybe off the path sometimes, but we'll record the main body of everything. And then, if we got some time for Q&A, we can dive into some of that stuff.
I'll also share the link here in the chat for our YouTube channel so that anybody who cannot join the call, they can just watch the recording there.
There you go. Awesome, you guys. So any questions out there yet? I mean, we can keep talking about energy all we want because that's the topic of Healy. Within the series, typically there is that what is Healy question? What is Healy? What is it? I mean, some of you guys, new folks out there, probably maybe why you might be on the Tech Tip Tuesday because you're trying to find an answer or solution to something. But what is Healy? And I had this, I don't know where it came from, but years ago, as I'm kind of in meditative state, looking at the bigger picture of Healy, this statement, my what I would call my elevator pitch, came to me about what is Healy. And here it is. It is the bridge between the quantum field of information and the biological and physical fields of matter. It literally is a bridge. And just like any other bridge, it gets you from one side of maybe a river to the other side of the river, or some ravine, or some obstacle, right? It's getting you from one point to another. It's a bridge, a solution, a transport vehicle, right? And so what's that mean? So with Healy, we're looking at some pretty incredible layers of information. When I say layers of information, we got to think about it this way. We look at from the quantum field, right? That's a layer of information. That is the information field, right? That's the global information field, or the quantum information field. And Marcus talks about this, Marcus Schmieke. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. He's our founder, right? He's the science, the brain behind Healy and Time Waver. But that global information field, that's where all things are possible. Infinite possibilities. And then we go all the way down to the molecular body, aka matter, and Healy bridges that entire gap. And it's done with frequency, with information. So I think it's a pretty incredible tool. Uses some pretty incredible science, some amazing hardware. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, and one of the things in regard that I like to explain is that the two most relevant concepts, I would say, that you're gonna find when it comes to using Healy are those two, which are going to be the information field and the bioenergetic field. And I like to simplify this by simply saying the information field is basically the instructions or the map that the Healy is going to be using to determine what are the best frequencies for you. And then ultimately the bioenergetic field is the one that we want to harmonize. Why do we want to harmonize the bioenergetic field? Because it plays a crucial role in our well-being, psychologically, physically, energetically, spiritually. And again, since we're addressing the energy itself, it's a multifaceted device. We're never really addressing like symptoms in particular or specific parts of the body. We're really going all the way through the most fundamental layers or properties of existence, which again are energy and information. And that's basically what the Healy is going to be doing for you. It's going to be analyzing you by reading information and then using frequencies to harmonize bioenergetic field.
I love that word too, because how many of you guys have ever heard of bioenergetic? I mean, just that term. And it's actually two words put together, bio meaning something about body, personal content, information, bio, and then energetic, bioenergetic. So this is an energy field and a biological field, or an information field of you. So to put those together, now we've got this this entity, right? A bioenergetic field. It's a you, or an entity. And the interesting thing about the bioenergetic is that it kind of transcends all the various layers, right? As Henry said, psychological, physical, emotional. They're all these layers of us, of you. Instead of, maybe some people just look in the mirror and go, yep, that's me. That's me. Okay, well, sure. That's a particular representation of you. It's a reflection. It's not even the real one. As a matter of fact, it's just a reflection. And how many of you guys have ever been to a distorted mirror? You go to a fair or something, they got that wavy mirror and you're all like distorted, or you're really wide or really skinny. So is that you? Is that how everybody sees me? Is that wavy or bloated look? No. That's a reflection through a field of optic information. So the bioenergetic field of view is a bit more intense, more in depth, and those layers have effect on you as a life in space and time. Let's just take the psychological part of you, right? That's been something that's very, very malleable, but been created since birth. Folks in your life, your coaches, your parents, your mentors, your relatives, your peers, everybody's putting content out there and you're assigning meaning to it. You're becoming a psychological version of you. Okay. That could be even called personality. And that personality observes into the world and creates a personal reality. Okay. But yet my personal reality and say Henry's personal reality and Jake's, that they may not be, they're not the same because we live in different places, but we also see things differently. And yet we can come together right now. We can see each other and we go, yep, that's Henry. And yep, that's Jake. And yep, that's Ken. But that's only a single layer, right? That's actually being reproduced on a screen that's not even real. so I love the different layers that Healy can interface with and the programs that do such. So they interface, but they have purpose. Some of them are for the brain. Some of them are for your systems, aka digestive systems or cardiovascular systems, right? There's various meridians that it speaks to. So now we're talking about that bioenergetic field in a more of a bioenergetic body. We have the bioenergetic psychology, psycho-emotional you. So yeah, Healy interfaces with all that. Pretty quiet crowd out there, guys.
I guess we could share a little bit on HighWave. We actually had our next shipment arrive from Germany yesterday at our warehouse in Indiana. So almost all of the pending orders will be fulfilled out today. And then this didn't quite, what we received in was a little bit short of our current backlog too, but we have another shipment that's actually just arrived in the US, as in clearing customs right now. So by the end of the week, we hope to have that one also in the warehouse. So by next week, everybody will be caught up and we'll have some inventory actually sitting in the warehouse for anybody that wants to order next too. But yeah, it's been a very high demand since the launch on June 6th here in the US, and we're just about caught up too. So anyone that's been waiting, definitely appreciate your patience, and we have been working hard behind the scenes to get everything to you as soon as possible.
New technology.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. What else, you guys? Anybody? No questions, huh? Wow. So Henry, how's it going with the onboarding schedule?
It's actually been good. This just yesterday I believe I had two different calls, I believe. Yeah, two calls for two different topics. I've had people, Spanish speakers, English speakers. Yeah, for the most part, I find that a lot of people find it very, very helpful. Even people who have been with us for a while, like months or even years with us, there are always little things that they learn from it, just little details that sometimes are overlooked when it comes to using our apps. And I mean, the more in depth we go, then the more chances you're gonna have of learning something new. I mean, we're talking about the Healy Advisor Analyse 2 app, the Healy Advisor app. People find those very, very valuable.
Yeah, I love it. So we got a question, guys. Do you know how long the HighWave was in the making? So that's a great question. I mean, Marcus did just a couple blips on it as far as development, research, that kind of thing. I don't know, guys. Do you have any insight on that?
I do not know exactly how many years. I know it was quite a long time. I don't know the exact number, but this is a technology that's been in the works for a long time. It's actually a patented technology. The technology of this 5 megahertz carrier wave, 4.97 megahertz carrier wave, that basically are regular Healy frequencies attached to, and helps it basically get to all cells in your tissues throughout the entire body, that kind of thing. That's a very unique technology. Again, there's a patent on it as well. And that's that technology that's used in the Healy HighWave. But I do not have an answer for exactly how long it was in the making. But you know, Marcus and the team there, the Castle and Cranes Lean, they work on a lot of this stuff for years and years and years, and they're thinking years and years in the future too, as well, for some of the things that they're currently working on also. So that's definitely one thing that, you know, Healy's in a really great position as far as the future product roadmap for sure.
I seriously doubt within this technology there will ever be a lack of ideas or possibilities. And let's think about that for just a second. So that 4.97 megahertz, right? No, gigahertz. So
Megahertz, wasn't it?
Megahertz.
megahertz. So
Yeah.
if we look at what is the kilohertz, megahertz, gigahertz, terahertz, all the various range of frequencies, they have a purpose. Way back when the AM radio broadcast, right, that was in the kilohertz. It's a certain frequency that's designed to go from, say, a broadcast station to a receiver. Where's the receiver? Well, it's probably your radio, right? Once upon a time, the home radio was the entertainment module and communications module, not television, radio, right? So, well, let's go before that was you walk over to your neighbor's house and say, hey, how you doing? Right? There was no transmissions in free space. Then we had radio. That started to expand the reach a little bit. You could reach more people at the same time because you send a signal out, whoever tunes into it receives it. All right. So frequencies, ranges, or bandwidths have purpose. And when you're up there into that megahertz range, now it actually orbits around certain structures and through certain structures. So you can gain more coverage, you might say. And that's kind of the idea with the HighWave, is that covers the entire body from a single point, kind of unifies a communications pathway globally throughout the body. Does that make sense? So you can communicate to a bigger audience from a single point, aka from wherever the HighWave is on your body to every cell in your body. Bigger audience. All right. Hopefully that helps your question there. So if there's anybody out there that, again, it's got some folks with questions, concerns, I don't know, struggles, bring them in. Bring them in.
You know, I was going to say, you know, we could talk about any of the current or more recent things that have popped up on the tech side or tech support type side too. You know, but pretty much, you know, there was a small issue, I think it was the end of July, with some issues accessing the Analyse app too, related to an new version of the app that was released, but that was all resolved at this point too. So, and then again, it didn't affect everybody. It was a small number of people there.
Yeah, it's really, if we're trying to diagnose an issue, we open up the app and we kick on our Healy and it doesn't connect or something. Step one, what's kind of like a broad stroke, step-by-step method for getting things back in order. Today's app has a lot more sequential versatility. What I mean that is that before, you had to make sure the Healy was turned on and then open the app and then they would sync. Right now, kind of actually, that's not necessarily the case. If you've already got the Healy in your app as one of its devices, and it's not even turned on, you open the app and the app's like searching for device, searching, and then you would have to turn your device on and then it finds that one or even a list of ones that are in the area and gives you an opportunity to connect to whatever one you wish. So a little bit more removal of sequential need, I guess you might say. So that's pretty convenient. I remember having to go over and over again. It's step 1, step 2, step 3. And yeah, the new app makes it a lot more convenient. I had someone still using one of the old apps and said, it's still working for me. I'm like, really?
Wow.
Yeah, the old blue dot still
Uh-huh.
working. And I thought, well, I'm gonna give you a little heads up. Eventually that's not gonna be the case. So
Yeah, I've seen that before. Like sometimes every now and then we do get that person in the live chat or via ticket saying, "Hey, I'm using the old app and it's not working very well." We're like, "Yeah, you should probably download a new one." But
Yeah.
I always tell everybody to keep in mind that at this point, really, the old app it's just not as reliable as the new one. I mean, the new one is the one that we keep updating. We're always making changes to ensure that everything is working smoothly. It's the one that is connected still to our servers, to the cloud. And something to keep in mind that yes, even if you run into issues with the old app, that transition period where the migration of the clients was a thing, it's not really longer available. So that's something to keep in mind, that if you do end up having the old app and for some reason we either ask you to uninstall it so you can sell the new one, you will need to re-enter your clients. That's something that you're gonna have to do, and it's just important to for any new user that is still using the old app to know that's going to be the case. But again, by this point, I feel like nobody should be using the old app because it's been already it's been already years at this point since
It's,
we.
I think we're coming up on the 2-year mark from when it
yeah.
was released, and I think it was last fall that we basically stopped supporting it. Like no new updates, anything like that related to the old app too. So yeah, it's been a while. And yeah, it's anyone that hasn't converted over, switched over to the new app, definitely time to join the rest of us in the Analyze 2 app world.
The other thing to consider too is the smart device. The smart device you're using, whether it's an Android based or an iOS based, uh, those software operating systems that work those devices, they're continuously upgrading, updating, and building a new version, right? And so what happens to an app is it's made for a certain level of expandability within the predictability. And the thing about an app developer, they can't really predict what the operating system is going to be like that the Apple or the Android world uses. They're not, what do they know about what that industry is going to develop next? And so when new hardware comes out, new software comes out, all of a sudden maybe an app becomes obsolete because it won't function on their platform. So that app developer has to upgrade, update, and get up with the program so that they will operate within the operating system of that smart device. So that's another reason, folks, that the old apps, they're just not going to be compatible with the new software. It's not much different than the computer world, right, guys? I mean, if you have a computer that's 20 years old right now, it's probably not doing much for you. It probably has a clock and a calendar maybe that's up to
Yeah.
date. But other than
Time,
that, most of the
yeah.
software now.
Time to update and upgrade. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
like I saw yesterday, AOL will no longer support dial-up calling too. The original internet service that everyone started with back in the 90s. So,
Remember the dial-up systems, you could hear your
yeah.
computer, you could hear it making that sound, right? The modem. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Absolutely.
it's, nowadays, fiber optic is the way to go, right?
Yeah.
We got such a huge bandwidth. And the reason, so why is all this technology evolving? You know why? It's because of us. We're always asking things to do more, right? Hey, can I do more? Can I do more? Can I do more? I got to do more things at once. I got to get faster. I got to get better. I got to get stronger. I got to get more things at the same time. Well, so developers are listening to the customers. if everybody said, you know what, I'm happy with smoke signals. Yeah, I'm just going to make my fire and I'm going to do some smoke signals and tell my neighbor, hey, have a nice day. How you doing? What's going on? Come over for lunch. You know, then things wouldn't develop much further than that. But that's not the way it is it?
I understand that one of the most I would say relevant characteristics of the human race is the human species is our curiosity. And that's really what has kept us innovating and making things more, curiosity. I mean, it really is like, and it goes beyond that, it goes even, in the healing world. I mean, that's how does something like acupuncture gets developed? You know what I mean? Like somebody had to get curious enough to try it.
Dude, come here, Henry. Like, can I poke you with a needle here? Let me just see what happens. What if I do it here? Ouch! No, that's the wrong spot.
It really is fascinating. I mean, I mean, sometimes I think and I look at the sky and then I see three planes flying on top of me, like, and it's like, man, that's crazy. Like, how
Yeah.
are these metal machines just flying in the air?
Yeah, we can do the same thing when we look at the ocean. Tons and tons of steel floating, on the water.
Yeah.
The law of displacement
Mhm.
to keep that afloat. Just like tons of steel in the air.
Yeah.
Law of lift, right? Aerodynamics. And now we have the quantum law and this amazing technology that uses a random noise generator to interface with consciousness, right? That's not new science. It's just a different application for the science. Not much different than frequency, where we used to have the frequencies in the kilohertz for AM radio, and now we have them in the megahertz for much higher range and better distance. But various bandwidths of frequency that communicate within various mediums of transmission. Underwater sonar, right? It's underwater, so basically a electromagnetic sine wave won't go very far, like it can through free space through air. So we're just developing smarter ways of, communicating and interfacing with, well, biology, right? I mean,
Now
what again?
now that you're talking about electromagnetic waves and electromagnetic field scan, I think a question that just today we got, and there was actually a lady who wanted to speak with me about that. It's about the idea of harmful EMFs. Like a lot of people tend to assume that EMFs, they're all harmful, and they think about Bluetooth and they're like, oh, the Healy, you're supposed to use your phone and it has Bluetooth, like, is this harmful? And I feel that there's just like a strong misunderstanding about this. Like a lot of people don't even, understand that EMFs are pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everything. The sun is EMF, the earth is EMFs. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have signal right now on your phone whenever you make a call, that is EMFs happening everywhere at all times. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, that they have a bad rep, EMFs.
Yep. It originally it was electromagnetic force, but we also have electromagnetic frequency, EMF. And so that force it was discovered decades and decades ago. And if we understand what is within that boundary, that bandwidth, every time that there is an electron flow through a wire, right? So the microcurrent from the Healy to your wristband, when there's electron flow through a conductor, it emits a magnetic wave, a magnetic field. That's EMF. It's electromagnetic frequency or force. And so let's take it to another level. In the synaptic connections or the neurons within your body, the ones that keep your heart beating and the ones that signal your hands and feet to move, as well as the ones that allow thought to move through your brain, right? All of that is a electron flow and creating a magnetic wave emission off of it. So from your mind, you create EMFs just from your thoughts. Your body emits EMFs, and there's different wavelengths of such. So electromagnetic, it can be a signature of heat, right? It's light, it's all kinds of various frequencies that can transmit from point A to point B. So the harmful ones, when we say harmful, let's define that. First of all, we need a specific frequency that can move through a medium that can create harm. I told you earlier, we have sonic waves, subsonics, and stuff. So through water, goes through water. Those same waves, when you bring them out into the air, don't do much. They don't go very far, unless you have high amplitude. So in other words, you have to crank the amplitude up on the signal to get it to go from point A to point B. Okay. So if from point A to point B, there's an obstacle and you put a sonic wave is a sound vibration. And let's say it's a tree and you've got enough amplitude from a sonic wave, you can explode the tree. Right. But without that, and that it demands a tremendous amount of power to do that. So let's just say EMF, and here's a question about EMF like 5G or these harmful waves. So let's say it's a 5G wave. That's, by the way, that's 5 gigahertz or even microwave, that's still in that microwave frequency band. 2.4 gigahertz, which is what Bluetooth typically operates on. Without a lot of power, it doesn't have a huge amount of effect. Your microwave, for instance, is a 2.4 gigahertz signal from one side of the box to the other side of the box, from the anode to the cathode. There's a frequency going across the box where you put your food. All right. But it's like 1,000 watts of power. I mean, it's a lot of power to go through there, and anything in its pathway heats up because it's a resistive field. So let's say that you've got your Bluetooth device, and like it's Healy. Healy is what's called BLE, Bluetooth low energy. Very, very low energy. It can't transmit very far. It's got a 32-foot range max, right? And then your signal is unpredictable. So it doesn't have enough power to really do any harm. The only other way that you could do anything with low power stuff is time. Give it the same amount of amplitude for years in the same spot. So here's where we might talk about the Bluetooth earbuds. So how far away can you get from your smart device with an earbud? How far away before they start to crackle or lose signal? The further you go, the higher that power that device must be transmitting, right? Healy can only go 32 feet. Trust me, you can go a long ways with those earbuds away from your phone. And here's the other key significant piece of that is that earbud is in the same spot every time you put it in. Same spot, same spot, same spot. So meaning the transmitted frequency is going to the same area of tissue over and over and over and over. So, there is studies now showing some effects because the signal can speak to biology and it's going to the same place over and over. So I always recommend the wired earbuds that go down. There's no EMF in there. It's just sending basically a signal to vibrate the speaker in there to give you sound, right? It's very different, very different. It's not wireless. So, so there's the question about the harmful EMFs, like sound. Okay. So EMFs, when we talk about EMFs, if we're talking about EMFs in terms of a signal, electromagnetic frequency signal versus a sound wave, two different ways of transmitting information. The sound wave is a vibrational signal of air oscillation. It has a frequency, yes. It has lots of frequencies to it, harmonics, lots of frequencies to the sound wave. An EMF, electromagnetic frequency, is a magnetic signal going through the air with information on it, encoded on that magnetic wave. And then it requires some other conductive entity to then absorb that magnetic wave and then turn it back into electron flow. So no different than a tissue or a cell in your body. It will take that magnetic wave. It is a conductor because it's water and minerals, and it conducts that signal back into electron flow, and it's being decoded by the cell. This is how Healy works in our body, right? Our structures, our cell biology decodes the information and understands it because it's, well, in some cases, it's a coherent signal, what we call a constructive interference, or a incoherent signal, which we call destructive interference. Simultaneously giving energy to amplify a cell and its vitality while nullifying a condition such as a bug, a problem, you know, an issue that we're trying to address. So hopefully that makes sense.
I think something that you mentioned, Ken, in regards to the time of exposure, I think that's huge because I don't think this is a black and white topic. I feel that this is something that will depend greatly on the tolerance of someone. There are people, for example, who feel comfortable exposing themselves and getting tan under the sun for hours. You know, I mean, that is questionable whether that's healthy or not, but a lot of people do it. And some people are not tolerant to the sun at all. They just can expose themselves to a couple of minutes and then they start. So again, it's not a black and white thing. Everybody's level of tolerance to EMFs is also going to change. And again, the time of exposure is going to be huge. I know Anik mentioned sound, right? In the case of, for example, sound healing. Same thing, like if you spend 10 minutes under the sun, right, or 20 minutes to receive a decent dose of vitamin D, then good for you. But it's going to be a very different effect if you spend 2 hours or 5 hours under the sun. I can assure you that whatever you could have received as benefits, now it's going to turn into a problem. Even with sound, even exposing yourself to a session of sound healing of an hour would be very different to exposing yourself to an 8-hour sound healing session where you will probably reach a point where you're like, all right, this is enough. Your whole nervous system is probably going to be extremely oversaturated and overstimulated. So again, it's not a black and white topic. There's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration when it comes to EMFs.
Yeah, whenever we begin anything, you're so right. Whenever we begin anything, it's new, it's unknown, foreign to the body as is it foreign to our psychology. And so this is why many people, when they first started using Healy and using the microcurrent wristbands, you could feel these tingling sensations, you could feel this stuff, but after, you know, months and even years, you don't feel it. The body kind of acclimates to the signal and knows what's going on. There's a tolerance level that's increased. So same thing with any other frequency technology or infusion of sound or vibration. Same thing. We acclimate. I remember going to a sound bath, a sound healing, and you know, it was incredible. And it was very powerful. You could feel, you know, my body felt there's a level of uplift and a level of release that goes on. Remember I said earlier, we have coherent and incoherent signals. We have constructive and destructive interference patterns. So when our body is getting a constructive signal, it's reconstructing certain things, but then the necessary release and letting go of, I don't know, toxins, emotional baggage, disease and disorders, the body's releasing that. And so that can be like a detox type symptom, right? And that could be uncomfortable. Most of the time it is. So just things to pay attention to. We need, as you hear me say all the time when we're on there, listen to your body. When you get to a point when you've absorbed enough, there is this feeling of fatigue or tired, right? It's not necessarily because you've used all your muscles and all the glycogen stores within those muscles are gone. That's not it. It's a psychological influence to try to influence you to rest, right? You feel this feeling, this sensation of tired, whatever, however you've assigned that meaning and whatever your threshold is, you feel tired. Okay, so it's a good idea then to rest, not to go out and start doing your gardening or you're running a marathon or anything like that. It's like, okay, rest and repair. All right. So Lisa's got a question here that I understand that people perform distance Healy treatments. Are those treatments effective? You know, again, that's there's a very significant component to the receiver and the sender. One must be willing to receive and give permission as such, and then be involved and open, right? That's a big deal. No different than quantum entanglement. The two people that entangle with each other will constantly be involved in some way. So same thing with this distance healing, that it's important that when we're speaking to someone, that we're getting their permissions, we're involving them, they become present with the transaction. And then we place our attention on them, and we're not bringing our baggage to the table, right? That's not going to do a lot of good to them if we're stressed out and angry about our job and we're trying to do some kind of distance healing. No, we've got to get in the proper state, both sides, the sender and the receiver, get coherent, and then Healy starts to build that bridge. The receiver must be open to receive. All right. Lots of levels of effectiveness.
Another thing that I think it's important to mention is in regards to this is you know, the difference between vibrating something in the Healy Analyse 2 app and running programs on the Healy 2 app. Like,
yeah,
a lot of people think they're the same, and then people assume that, well, you know, I can just run something on the Healy Analyse 2 app, then that's all I'm gonna get. And I just came up in this moment as I'm speaking this, and I don't really know if this is gonna land, but I think of it as a kind of like a fork and a spoon when you're about to eat a meal, right? They're both useful. You can have a fork to eat and you can have a spoon to eat. But since the information field, which is the one that we are going to be addressing more when we use the blue app, the Healy Analyse 2 app, think of it as a spoon, right? You're using a spoon to drink a liquid. It's not going to be as effective if you try to eat, let's say, a salad or chicken or pasta or something like that. Then you have the fork. One is going to address more the physical and material aspect of your being, which is why we have the cables. We have electromagnetic fields, which are going to be limited by distance. The other one is going to be focusing on the informational aspect of reality, whether it's a body, whether it's a car, whether it's a building, a pet, a plant. It's going to focus on the informational aspects of these things. So again, think of it of like a soup. The other one is more of a material type of food. So again, hopefully that helps, that example. I think that's probably the most creative and simplified way that I can explain this, because it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
It's not, and the way that those two apps address the entity that in which it's speaking to, the microcurrent, the pink app, you know, it really does not have a client, right? There's no, you don't put in the content of a person, their name and their picture and their vibrational signal, because the app doesn't really care, you know, if it's a salad or soup. It's whatever it's connected to, right? When you're connected to the body, now that's my main focus. The app says, yep, I'm focusing on just that. So we're trying to send that frequencies from that app, that modality, that's going to really, really, really depend upon the practitioner, because the only really bridge is the practitioner's attention and the participant's reception. The practitioner has got to put the information that's coming out, attempt to put the information coming out into the receiver wherever they are non-local. That's a bit of effort, because no matter how good one is, they're still subjective, right? They're still subjective because they are their own body in space and time. So now we transition over into the Heal Advisor app. Now you've put in a client. That's the quantum destination. it's completely objective, right? It's a subjective person, but then the transmission way of getting there and the interface with the database is an objective interface. It's not taking into account so much the practitioner, not as much. It still is. Practitioner needs to be on board, but now we have a destination, aka the client, all the client record content. The Blue app gives a way more precise GPS signal to that receiver, and the hardware and the software and the technology does the rest. So yeah, it's again a couple different ways, and I have heard people talking about how they've used the Healy 2 app to do remotes. You know, I liken it to the way you would eat that meal, as Henry was saying, with soup and eating it with a fork. That's a lot of work. Yeah, you're losing a lot of the goods there when you're trying to eat up that soup. And so the effort's much higher. You might as well utilize the technology that requires the least amount of effort to up the highest amount of success. Okay. So Toby's asking, will you tell me again where to find the form to fill out to transfer ownership of a Healy? Right from the
Actually, Toby, there is no we don't really use a form anymore. Like the way that it's done is that you can do that directly from the Healy Shop, and I'm actually providing the steps right here in the chat just so you can do it. But it's as easy as going on the Healy Shop. You need to be logged in, so make sure you go into your account, and then there's going to be a device transfer section there where you're gonna see the devices linked to your account, and then you would just need to add the member ID of whoever you're trying to transfer to, and then they would need to accept it on their end, and then that's it. So it's something you can do yourself or whoever is interested in transferring the device.
Yep, and it is a two-sided thing. So Toby, you transfer from your side with the content, the serial number of the device, the username or the user that it's going to, their user number, right? Their ID. And then on their end, they have to accept it from it's the same shop portal, same place. You go to your shop and do that.
Here's the
There we go.
The screen here. So after you log into your shop, it takes you to your dashboard, and then you just go to there's a device transfer section. So once you're here, your Healy ID is your 12-digit ID. Everyone has a 12-digit ID, will be shown here too. So you just go ahead and you pick whatever serial number that you want to transfer, pick that one, and then you type in the 12-digit ID of the person you're transferring it to. And if they don't know their 12-digit ID, they have to log into their Healy Shop, and then go to the same page here, and it will show up here too, their 12-digit ID. And you put that in here, click Start Transfer, and then when they refresh their page or log back in, they'll see an active transfer there that they have to accept. And then once they accept that, it's done. Super easy to do here as well.
And if you notice, Jake, go back one screen. If you guys notice, back to the dashboard, you see that little pink little numbers right there. If once the person puts the transfer into the system, that little 0 will turn to a 1, right? And then same kind of condition where you have a rewards up there. There's a reward there, but there's a transfer. Is there an expiration date for that transfer, like there is rewards?
No one's ever asked, but not that I know of.
Yeah, so it'll probably just sit there. It will probably sit there in the transfer queue until someone accepts it. So
yeah, I don't think that goes away. Like for rewards, for a lot of them, there is, I think it's 3 months or 6 months or something like that. For most rewards that you receive, like for example, I don't even remember why. I think it was a test thing that we were doing here for Elements, but I have a reward here that if you earn like a free Healy device or program or Elements, whatever the case may be, this is also where you go to claim that. So we don't send things out automatically anymore, because through this process, you confirm when you want to receive it. Maybe you don't want the free device right away or whatever, or you want it shipped to a different address or whatever, that kind of thing too. You can do that here. So like, for example, if I click on this and I click redeem, it's going to ask me to confirm my shipping address, which I can then edit here too. This one's default to the office here in Orlando, but yeah, for device transfer, it is easy. There's a few exceptions to it. Some countries don't participate in the automated device transfer. I think Korea and Japan aren't part of this. And then also, you see here, there's a note, devices with an active subscription are not transferable. So if you have a active subscription on a device you want to transfer to somebody else, you need to first cancel that subscription and then go ahead and transfer to it. If you don't know where to cancel it, you can go to your subscriptions section in Shop. And if you do have anything active there, it would show up. I don't have any on mine, but it would show up here, and then you can edit that or cancel. So
Yeah, you know, and also you can, if you have multiple devices, and you're going to transfer one device as subscriptions, you can transfer the subscription to a different device, right? And then transfer this device with no subscriptions to somebody else.
yeah,
Right? There's that option too. It's just remember that little caveat of anything with a subscription, you're not going to transfer. Okay. So there's a comment in here that with the Healy 2 Blue Dot, is that both? You're talking about the Healy 2 and the Blue Dot? Because there's two different apps. It's pulled horses out of chronic within 20 minutes. So yeah, or colic. Yeah. Sorry, colic. Yeah. So again, animals are way more open to receive than people. They don't really have a lot of ego that has to be overcame. But yeah, I've heard this so much. In fact, in my own pet, I've had so much success with a pet, and using the Healy 2 app and the coil. It's clipped to her collar, and man, running things that were incredible. Of course, I have all my pets in my Healy Advisor Analyze, and so I can do an analysis and then send vibrational frequencies right to them as well. So that's, super useful. A Healy clip to the collar, running some frequencies that were discovered with the analysis and vibrating the analysis at the same time. Man, I think it's incredible. Yeah, the Healy Advisor Analyze Blue Dot. That is a really incredible program. Animals, there's so much success with healing and helping animals all over the world. It's incredible how that works. Okay. We got about 6 minutes left, guys. What else we got?
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, we have a lot more people on the call than we did when we first started at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what day or time it is right now, I guess. No, I was gonna say maybe another quick reminder about your the upcoming episode of Healy Solutions Series tonight that you'll be discussing and featured on.
Yeah, absolutely. So those of you who joined us a little late, so we are having it's the 4th episode of the Healy Solutions Series. That's today, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. And today's topic is on energy and vitality. And so I will be the speaker on that call. I get to talk about exactly what that means, energy and vitality, and how it relates, how we use Healy in our lives in many ways to support that, promote that, and expand that. So yeah, so that's today. Join in if you can. Of course, the recording will be available. You can jump right on there through our calendar link. Let's see, I think Jake, or would you guys put the link in here too, right? Or let me see.
I'll put the link directly to the meeting again, since some people
Yeah.
or gear
Yeah.
or
If you're coming in late, you probably won't see that link, but the Healy Solutions Series, 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Energy and vitality is the subject. So, and think about that too. You know, energy, I'm not talking about energy in terms of sucking down a little caffeine drink. You know, everything is energy. And so when we talk about energy, it's like, how are we building coherent signals and what's going on that are building incoherent signals? You know, many times when we're tired, the body's just trying to signal you to rest. And by pushing forward, pushing on, even, you know, sometimes it's necessary, but if we're not listening to our body more often than not, we need to be listening. And if we're not, then the healing doesn't happen. So there you go, guys. There's the links as well as the events calendar right there. You can go directly to the calendar, click directly to any of the calls or episodes, and it'll take you right there. Or there's the link to get it. Now, if you guys want to save that chat at the top of the screen in your chat box where it says Healy Tech Tip Tuesday, 3 little dots over there on the right, click on those. There's a save chat menu option. At the end of our call on your screen will be a message about saving the chat. That will be the file, the chat. It'll be in there and you can save it. And then you'll have all those links you wish, put them where you want. You can also click on them right now if you're on your computer or PC. It'll take you to those, and then you can maybe just save those in the background somewhere to your dashboard or your desktop, whatever. All right. Great questions, by the way, from you know, kind of a quiet audience at first, but hey, you know, I think, you know, got some good questions in there.
Yeah, and as Ken mentioned, I put the link into the chat, but if you do go to our events calendar, just a couple of things to keep in mind. You know, we always have links to frequencies and friends here, how to register for those. Tech Tip Tuesday, these links go take you directly to Tech Tip Tuesday. Healy Solutions Series, this takes you directly to the meeting tonight also. But you'll also see we have a link here to our Healy World Learning Hub channel on YouTube. We have links to our Facebook groups as well. And then there's also a link to Healy Onboarding. If you don't remember how to sign up for one of these onboarding sessions that Henry hosts on a daily basis here, you can also just go to the Healy Americas events page, click on the link at the bottom, and it'll take you to the calendar section where you can book one of the different sessions and that kind of thing too. So this is a very useful page to save, bookmark, whatever, if you ever need to or can't remember how to join a specific meeting.
Love it. You know, and there are spots available, folks, for that onboarding. So don't be shy. If there's something going on there that you need some help with, Henry can get you fixed up. And of course, next week, Tech Tip Tuesday, if you want to get up here and bring your friends, and we'll do this again, and we'll make sure that you guys are as informed as we can get. Like you've noticed, we kind of go down some rabbit holes sometimes. All right, you guys. Well, we are at the end almost here. I mean, we got less than a minute. Any closing comments, guys?
No, I think
All right.
we're good. Yeah,
We're
thanks
set.
everyone.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for being here, Jake. Thank you, Henry. Appreciate you guys as always. It was fantastic having you here and collaborating. I love the synergy that we can build. You guys join us again next week, and of course, please join us on the Healy Solutions Series later on this evening, this afternoon, and I will hopefully see you again. All right, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Take care.